Hello everyone, I'm Alan. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to talk today about Catriona, the boat I nearly purchased. As part of my Easter cruising series, I decided to go down to Gayton Junction. Just off the junction on the Northampton Arm is Gayton Marina, where I found Catriona, a boat that was of great interest to me. However, it was not to be, and I thought it would be a good idea to talk to you about that at the end of my cruise. Hi, and thanks for joining me. It was Good Friday when I arrived at the junction, and it was a beautiful day. I think it was the best day of the year so far, certainly down this way anyway. I moored up, having cruised much of the day, and stopped at the services to sort out the boat, get rid of the rubbish and so forth, top up with water, that sort of thing. And it was glorious, absolutely glorious. And I did a piece to camera once I'd moored up, and I said I'd talk to you later on. When I sat down later on to talk to you, the camera malfunctioned. And that really put me in a bit of a tizwas. I recorded a piece that was about 9 minutes long, but only 2 minutes of it had recorded. The first 7 minutes just wasn't there. So I recorded it again using a different memory card, and I also set up a secondary camera. So I was facing the camera. It was a very sunny day, the sun was on my face, I couldn't really see the screen or the monitor properly, and I had another camera to the side which was looking at me side on, and I recorded the piece again, as I say, using a different memory card, and exactly the same thing happened. I only had the last few minutes of the recording, and well, I was sort of devastated. I didn't really know what was happening, so I had to stop using that camera for the time being. I wanted to talk to you about Catriona and explain why I didn't buy it. So recently I've re-looked at the footage and I've had to re-edit it. So what you're going to see is some of the original footage, and I had tried to dub over it because I was by a dual carriageway motorway, and although it wasn't very busy that evening because it was Good Friday, it was still very, very noisy. And if you listen to this, you will hear what the noise was like. I have just explained that I've already recorded this piece once, and for some reason it only recorded the end and not the start. Now, with modern technology, I've been able to reduce the wind noise to make it sound like this. I have just explained that I've already recorded this piece once, and for some reason it only recorded the end and not the start. However, even though the noise has pretty much gone, the clarity of my voice is not quite the same, and I didn't think everyone would be able to hear me clearly. So what I've done is I have re-recorded what I actually said. First of all, I transcribed from the good recording that I had from the side camera. I transcribed my notes and then I read those out. So what you're going to see is a bit of a mishmash. You're going to see some of the original footage and with some of the original sound and you're going to also hear me talking with my voice over some of the pictures. Hello. Hello. So what you'll see is me talking with pictures overlaid. Now, in some of the shots, unfortunately, I hadn't realised it. I had been facing the sun. I hadn't noticed that whilst I was using the wireless microphone, the actual microphone fitted to the camera was still attached to the camera, and the lead from that was across the lens. So what you're going to see has a bar coming down across the screen, and I'm sorry about that. But I have tried to put together an original sort of video with me talking about Catriona. I could have done the whole thing again from scratch, but I didn't want to do that. I recorded it. I wanted to say what I had recorded that day whilst it was fresh in my mind then. Having seen the boat, of course, it came out in front of me as I was cruising through Bugbrook. I was so surprised to see it, especially as it was already in my mind to talk about it. So I hope you're going to enjoy watching this one. I am sorry it is a bit of a mishmash, but take a look and you'll have a better understanding of why I didn't buy. It wasn't actually the first boat I saw, I should mention that. I had been looking around, but I did put an offer in on Catriona. That's what made it different from any of the other boats I looked at. But anyway, see what you make of this. I do hope you enjoy watching. It's been a lovely, lovely day. Beautiful cruising. I'm not sure if I mentioned that it's Easter weekend and today is Good Friday. I am sat here alongside the A43 dual carriageway, which is a very busy main road, but not so busy this evening. I came along the Northampton Arm to pass Gayton Marina, and the reason for that was I wanted to talk about Catriona, the first boat I nearly purchased. It was September 2017, as I recall. I had requested early retirement. There was a scheme at work to allow people to go early and hadn't quite been formalised as yet. But I had rather made a decision that I would leave anyway, whether I got the early retirement or not. I'd been looking at various boats in different places, and I found Catriona down here at Gayton Marina, part of the ABC group. It was a 47-foot boat, cruiser stern, made by R&D Fabrications in 1999. I rather liked it. Part of the reason I liked it, it hadn't been hacked around inside. It was still pretty much original. It had an L-shaped dinette. Wasn't sure if that was really what I wanted. It made into a double bed though, and had a decent sized galley. It had a bathroom, yes, an actual bathroom, but with a bath and obviously a sleeping area, and I rather liked it. But there were one or two queries that I had in regards to the protocol and procedure in making the purchase. I did have concerns about the boat. One of the things that was concerning me, that I recollect, was that it had a folding rear door. It was steel lined, and I don't think it was quite adjusted properly. It needed some work on it. Wasn't just a question of adjusting, it needed some remodelling. I think there were one or two other niggly things, but I can't remember. But I did put an offer in, and the offer was sort of considered. Now, one of the aspects I wasn't keen on was that ABC wanted a 10% deposit, which would have been over £3,000. As I was still a little bit uncertain in regards to my position and the retirement, I did and ah about that. Many brokerages just seek £1,000 deposit, and they take it off from market while you have it surveyed and get the sale sorted out. So I wasn't happy with that aspect either, but I did make an offer. I'd seen various other boats as well, so it wasn't the first boat that I saw. I was then told, whilst I was in negotiation, that someone else had made a higher offer, and at that stage I thought, well, that's good, I'll let it go. This is obviously not meant to be. I think that worked out quite well, because the boat I eventually bought, which is only 45 foot compared with 47 foot, makes better use of the space inside, particularly for me, because I have a small saloon area, I have a Pullman dinette where the seats face each other, and that makes into a double bed, and I spend a lot of time sat there editing. Then I have a tiny sort of galley area, shower room and a bedroom, but it suits me as a mainly sole boater, more often by myself than not. It suits me quite well, so I'm glad I didn't buy the first boat, and I'm pleased I bought this. And seeing it today was rather a surprise, particularly as it sort of cut me up virtually as I was motoring by. The people on it didn't look back at all. I think they were with the boat ahead of them that had just set off. They were looking at that and wanting to follow, and they didn't look back at all. I had to shout out to them to ask if they were leaving, and they did shoot off. My boat has a Barrashars 35, which is a 35 horsepower engine that comes under the Yanmar banner. Catriona has a Yanmar 3TNE 88 engine. How many horsepower that is, I really do not know, but it seemed fast. It lost me. I could never have caught up with it if I wanted to. The reason I came along the Northampton Arm to pass Gayton Marina was to explain about Catriona, the boat I nearly bought. I've never been along this stretch before, and it's beautiful. The sun is up there, it's absolutely glorious. So I'm pleased I came and that I moored here. This will end the series, not this part of me speaking now, but there will be a little bit more filming obviously, but on the way back I'm going to take it a little bit more easy and relaxed. When I'm out cruising and filming, I'm up early, I'm often editing before I set out, then I'm cruising. When you stop cruising, there's a lot of time involved in downloading the film that you've taken that day, recharging your camera batteries and whatever you've used. It all takes a long time. Then you've got to eat, relax, and then I start editing, and I edit until quite late. So it's heavy going, but I enjoy it, so it's not a problem. But going back, I hope to have a more relaxing time, and I hope that will be the case. I'm lost for words at the moment, I really am. Anyway, I'm going to say bye for now, and I will catch up with you in the morning. I'll be rested by then and in a better frame of mind. I've actually set up a secondary camera on the left here, which I'm just waving to now. It doesn't have special microphones or anything, but if this has gone wrong, at least I know what I've said. Anyway, oh, what I haven't mentioned is that I have in the last hour produced or published another vlog. So whilst I'm here speaking on this Good Friday evening, some of you might actually be watching that. And the odd thing is that it includes snow. And when it's a day like today, it's difficult to remember snow, but it was actually only last month in March that we did have quite a lot of snow, and the marina was covered in it. Well, I'm going to talk forever if I carry on, so I'm really going to bring this to a close now. So, bye everyone. I'll catch up with you in the morning. Bye. Well, I hope that's come out all right. I can't tell you how frustrating it is to record a piece to camera and for it not to come out. I did say I was going to talk to you the next day, but I didn't. It was a very foggy start to the morning, and with the camera not working, I just felt it best not to try and record anything. I will say something about how I record and store the data that I have recorded. Basically, I go out, I do a day's cruising, I take a lot of film on several different cameras, so I have data on several different memory cards. And at the end of the day's cruising, I like to download all that information to my laptop computer. And that can take quite a long while. Much of it is recorded in 4K, and I can spend an hour and a half just downloading. Because I've been cruising, and I'm now downloading things and using the laptop, batteries are getting flat and need some recovery. So I keep the data. I always have the data twice, and sometimes it's kept 3 times. So when I'm out cruising, it is on the card, the memory card, and it is on my laptop. What I've downloaded to my laptop at a later time, I download to an external hard drive. So I then have the data 3 times on the original memory card in the camera, on my laptop, sorry, and on an external hard drive. I keep it on the memory card for a long while. Now, a lot of professional photographers will use a card, they'll download the data, maybe back it up, and then they'll format the card. I don't tend to do that. The difficulties that I've experienced with memory cards is that you will get a corrupt clip, or the data card itself will go corrupt. That didn't happen on this occasion. What happened was that the camera started playing up. It normally opens automatically when you open out the side screen. That wasn't happening. It wasn't switching on by the record button, but I could touch the camera icon on the screen and it would start recording. It was just totally weird. And I didn't realize at the time that it was a memory card issue. In subsequent days, I was in touch with Sony about it, with their support team, and there was a dialogue between us. They suggested I update the firmware, which I did, but the updated firmware was 2016. I bought the camera, I think, in 2020. It didn't actually need updating, so there's no updating to the firmware. Eventually they said, had I formatted the memory cards? Well, I hadn't, because I often keep the data on the memory cards for a long while. But I did a format. You can do a short format, which is over in seconds, or you can do a long format. And the long format takes about 2 hours or so. And I did the long format, and it solved the problem. So I have now long formatted both memory cards that I've been using with this particular camera, and it seems to be working fine, so I'm pleased about that. Now, I do eventually clear the data off of the memory card, and when I do that, I tend to have the data still on my laptop and still on the external hard drive. I'm working on the data on my laptop, I'm adding things in, I'm editing the film. When that is all finished, the folder on the laptop has more data in it than the folder that was copied to the hard drive. So I now copy that folder over to the hard drive. I hope you're keeping up with this. And then I delete the original copy on the external hard drive. And eventually I delete the folder with all the data in from my laptop. This is getting rather complicated, but I finish up with one set of data which is on the external hard drive. So I start with it on the camera, then the data goes to the camera and the laptop. The laptop at some stage gets copied to the external hard drive, so I have the data 3 times. I do like it well backed up. It then eventually gets deleted from the camera and deleted from the laptop once I've uploaded the film and all has gone well. So I hope that explains about how I maintain the data. It is a bit complicated, but I do keep it well backed up. Having said all this, I must have bored you to tears, so I'm going to end this episode. I hope you have a better idea about Catriona. The fact that I did like the boat, there were one or two things with it that didn't seem right at the time. I wasn't keen on having to pay a 10% deposit when I still hadn't had my early retirement formalised. And so I backed out from that one once I found out there was another party interested in it. And I'm glad I did. I'm very happy with the boat I bought, which was called Paula at the time. And I renamed it to Lazy Days when it was out of the water at Debdale Wharf being blacked. At that time it had the sides and the bottom blacked, and I renamed it then. It's meant to be bad luck to rename a boat when it is in the water. So anyway, many thanks for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Look after yourselves, your friends and families. Take the utmost care with whatever you're doing. Until next time, bye for now. Bye everyone, take care.